There's a point where people stop feeling confused and start feeling managed. Not because of one headline, not because of one event, but because of the way information keeps arriving, partial, delayed, incomplete, and somehow always just enough to move on without ever fully understanding. That repetition does something to the nervous system. It dulls trust, it sharpens instinct, and it trains people to listen for what isn't being said. Right now, you can feel that shift happening in real time. People aren't just reacting to content anymore. They're reacting to how content is delivered. The pacing, the omissions, the way certain stories surface hard and fast, then disappear just as quickly without resolution. And underneath all of that is a growing recognition. This isn't just information. It's narrative management. Not always through lies, through control of timing, control of visibility, control of context. What gets highlighted, what gets buried, what gets framed as complete when it isn't. That's the mechanism. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, because it shows up everywhere. Science that advances but never fully arrives. Technologies that are hinted at but never released. Discoveries that feel like they should change everything and then quietly don't. Always partial, always contained. And people feel the containment, not as a theory, as a pressure. Like something is being held back, not just from the public, but from the natural unfolding of knowledge itself. And this is where the fracture deepens. Because when people feel that pressure, they don't just sit still. They start digging. They question what doesn't land. They connect patterns across domains. They look where they've been told not to look. And instead of that instinct being recognized for what it is, it gets labeled conspiracy theorist. Not because every conclusion is wrong, but because the act of questioning itself is dangerous. So the system does something precise. It withholds enough information to create doubt and then discredits the people who respond to that doubt. That's not random. That's control. And you can see it playing out right now. Stories surfacing around prominent individuals, especially those tied to science, technology, and advanced research, turning up dead or disappearing under circumstances that don't land cleanly. Not one case, a pattern. And the details never quite close the loop. That's not the whole story. That's the exposure point. Because these moments do something very specific to people. They break the spell of passive consumption. You don't just read and move on. You pause. You feel the gap. You notice that the explanation doesn't match the weight of what's being presented. And once you feel that mismatch enough times, you stop trusting the format. You start asking, why does this keep happening without clarity? Why do these stories appear and disappear without resolution? Why does it always feel like something is missing? Those questions don't get answered, so the perception shifts. Not, this is what happened, but this is what we're being shown. And those are not the same thing. That's the turning point. Because once people start seeing the difference between reality and the version of reality being presented, the control starts to weaken. Not all at once, but structurally. Because control depends on one thing: trust that what you're seeing is the whole picture. And right now, that trust is eroding. Quietly, steadily, irreversibly. And this is where the shift begins. Not by thinking harder, not by consuming more information, but by feeling into what's being given. Because the body registers what the narrative tries to smooth over. The gaps, the timing, the weight that doesn't match the explanation. You can feel when something lands. You can feel when it doesn't. And that's the line people are starting to follow. Not the headline, the resonance underneath it. This isn't about rejecting information. It's about sensing it, testing it, letting it land in the body instead of just the mind. Because once you start doing that, you notice the difference immediately between something that's whole and something that's been shaped. And the moment that difference becomes clear, people stop trusting the narrative over themselves. They start trusting what they feel over what they're given. The signal continues. If this transmission resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe here and continue the journey with the next video. You can also follow the work on Substack at tendingtheinbetween.substack.com.